This video will demonstrate how to complete the final exam project. First, I'm going to go through the requirements about the assignment. I have detailed the grading structure for the assignment, including, for example, you have to include the title page, table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, executive summary, and then the main sections of the assignment. So for the list of tables and list of figures, I'm gonna just provide some YouTube videos so that you can look at how to create the list of tables and list of figures automatically. Executive summary should not be just an introduction about what your report is. Instead, it should be not only introduce your report, but also highlight the key findings from your research. And then you're gonna write about introduction to introduce your selected city, town, or village, and also please include a map, and also any other information that you include, such as maps and charts and photos, should be credited with sources. And now let me introduce the demographic analysis. So the fundamental goal of this assignment is for you to understand where to find the demographic data, and also have the mindset about why urban planning should pay attention to their demographic characteristics. And also the second part of their assignment will be about residential kaleidoscopy, which will be mostly about their residential integration and segregation measured by two indices. One is called exposure index, and another one is called dissimilarity index. So let me start with the first section. So you go to the American Fact Finder of the Census Bureau. Remember that in the United States, if you need to get demographic data, the Census Bureau is oftentimes the first source that you should go. Although there are some other organizations and websites, they utilized the census data and already created some like charts and tables, etc. But the Census Bureau always has all the information there already. So let's open the quick American Fact Finder quick facts. And when you go there, you notice like different structures, etc. And then, for example, I choose Boca Raton, and the default is the U.S. demographic quick facts. But now, once I put Boca Raton, the Boca Raton data will be displayed side by side with the U.S. data. So first, you look at the population change and total population, etc., and then you focus on their gender and age structure. And here we notice we have the data under 5 years, under 18 years, and 65 years and over. We have 3 percentages. But how do you structure those 3 percentages into under 5 years, between 5 and 18, between 18 and 64, and 65 and over? How do you do that? And you put those data, those 3 percentages into Excel, or you just kind of write down on a piece of paper. And then you, for the race and Hispanic origin, you only look at the 2 or more races. Those are the race category. They're Hispanic or Latino, it's ethnicity. So Hispanic, Latino, it's ethnicity, not a race category. Because we have, like for example, white Hispanic, black Hispanic, or some other categories. So you also kind of take note of those numbers and write them down in Excel or on a piece of paper. Make sure you have the correct categories here. So let me go to Excel. For the age and gender structure, this is what the census provided, okay? So let's look at that. For less than 5 years old is 4%. And between 5 and 18, and how do I do that? Because the census does not really provide that number, but then you can just use simple math. You can just write this minus this will be 12.8%, okay? And then you have the 26.8% for greater than or equal to 65. And then you have, now we have this last category left. And how do I get this value? You just do a basic subtraction, because all the population should be 100%, which is 1. So minus this, and then minus this, and then you click enter. So now we have their age and gender structure, and I want to go to insert a chart, and I ask you to create a 3D pie chart for the age and gender structure. So how do you do that? You highlight this, and then you go to insert, you go to the pie, and I want a 3D pie, okay? So once you get this 3D pie, you can just change the title, because I don't like this percentage. I can just say age and sex structure, Boca Raton, Florida. And I think it's 2019, so you put that. And I want to make sure to make it, if you want to make the legend a little bit better, you can just put, like, for example, less than 5 years old, and then this becomes okay. Now it looks better. And then you can just simply copy. Make sure you selected everything. Okay, you want to select the largest frame, and then you just copy and paste into Word once you are writing your report. So that's for the age and the gender structure. Next, we're going to look at a ratio structure. For ratio structure, I mentioned that you should write down the numbers for that you get. So I write down all the numbers, and it's here, but then I did a basic math. So I add all the values together, but it doesn't come into 100%. For some reason, something is missing. So that means, maybe some of the survey, remember the Census Bureau is based on survey data. So maybe some of the respondents did not really answer their racial categories. In that case, I use 1 minus all those, okay? And then I get to the other. In that case, now we have 100%, and now you're ready to create a 3D pie chart. It's the same procedure. You just highlight the 2 columns, make sure don't include anything else. And then you just go to insert, and then you go to the 3D pie. And then once you have that, I want to make it a little bit smaller. This is too big, okay? So I want to make it like 8. I actually, when I create a chart, I like to move it to a new spreadsheet. So maybe I can put like race. In that way it looks better. So in this case, it looks better because you want to make sure your chart is a little bit bigger than your legend. And then if you want, you can add the data label. So you right click and then you go to add data labels and then you add data labels. So now you have the data labeled in the chart. If you feel like this is too big, it's overlapping, maybe you change to like size 8. In this case, it's better. If you want to change the color, you can do that. You know, you just go to design and change whatever the way you want. Okay, so you change colors, you know, but make sure it's make sure the color scheme will be professional. Okay. So I'll just keep the same color. And don't go too overboard when you try to format the Excel. You can change the background and everything. So by the way, you can just change chart type, you know, you can change the format, chart area. Once you have the format, you can just have fill, border, and some other things, or you can just go to design and change colors, change layout and everything. So, but don't go overboard. The key point is to be professional. So once you have this chart, and also you can just copy, right click and copy and paste into your Microsoft Word. So this is for the demographic, and then once you have all those charts and data, you should indicate how urban planning should keep those demographic characteristics in mind. For example, if you have look at age, if you have a lot of like younger residents, maybe you would have planned for like a lot of playgrounds or outdoor, you know, for it's the same thing for older residents as well. So but maybe different types of activities to tailor to their demographic composition of their city. So that's their. And for race as well, you know, depending on how many the racial structure and stuff, if your population is very diverse, that means if you conduct public meetings and also you try to do some other things, you should consider the demographic makeup of the residents and try to make sure, keep in mind that you have a diverse population to plan for the facilities and some other things. So actually I'm gonna change the title here because it doesn't look good. Racial structure, Boca Raton, Florida, and I think it's 2019 again. So now this is the charts for the first part, and then you explain some other things like homeownership, computer, internet use, health, income and poverty, and etc. And this is the first part of the demographic analysis. And then you go to the second part. The second part, we are trying to look at the integration, residential integration or residential segregation, because we understand that you know, due to their institutional policies and some other policies, in a lot of places you would notice that low-income residents would live separately from higher income residents or even middle-class residents. And also you will notice a lot of the neighborhoods sometimes will have a high racial composition. So that means, you know, people from different backgrounds, sometimes they live separately in different types of neighborhoods. And that's called a residential segregation. It still exists in today's landscape due to historical discrimination and also some other policies. So for this second part, you just go to the website. It's called censusscope.org. And it's called a segregation. And the first one is we're going to look at exposure by race. So I choose a city. So I want to, for example, I look at Boca Raton. So it's in Florida. So I go to Florida. And then you go to Boca Raton. I hope you can see this. It's a little bit small. So I look at exposure by race, and then I view the chart. And then you can just look at those charts and select some of the charts to be included into your report. But please cite the sources. And also in the beginning, before you create a chart, you will see the definition of exposure index and the dissimilarity index. Try to use your own words to explain those two indexes. And you do the same thing for dissimilarity index, and then you do the same thing, view chart, and then you get a dissimilarity index. This is more about, like different racial groups. Like it's based on smaller geographical units to see how their comparison between like different racial groups and ethnic groups. So it measures the relative separation or integration of groups. And it's oftentimes the results based on smaller geographical units such as the census tract or the census block groups. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory because you can just read that, okay? So like, for example, if a city's white-black dissimilarity index were 65, that could mean that 65% of white people would need to move to another neighborhood in order to make whites and blacks evenly distributed across all neighborhoods. So that's the dissimilarity indices, and then you explain how your results can be used in planning for the city or town or village or whatever the units you selected. And then you go look at the rankings. So select a dissimilarity index to rank. And then you just choose, whatever you want to choose. If you want to choose all of them, that's fine. But let's see. Let's choose white, black. And then I want cities. And I can just choose Florida. And then I can just rank it. And you can just choose one pair. You don't have to choose all of them. You can choose one pair and to take a look. And then most likely you're going to choose white, black, and maybe white multiple races or even Asian. Really depends on your local demographics. So we look at the Florida cities ranked by white-black dissimilarity index, and then you can see the dissimilarity indexes for Boca Raton. I have to find it. So if you have difficulty finding, you can just go finding page. And I want a Boca. So if on a Boca Raton is 27, so that means 59.5. So that means it's actually not too bad. It's in the middle, like regarding segregation and integration. Let's look at the most integrated city. Weston. Weston is 13. So Weston is in Broward County, and then you have Palm Coast and some others. Okay, so that's the rankings for dissimilarity index. And then you can just kind of briefly talk about, what this means to your city regarding the ranking in Florida. And then you just write about it, and don't forget about your references. And also if you have any, especially the sources, the website sources. Please follow the APA citation style. And I think I have a cheat sheet over there along with the assignment posted. Okay, let me check. Yeah, I do have the APA citation style and cheat sheet. So that's it for the assignment, and please let me know if you have any questions. Again, my email address is yli22@fau.edu. Thank you very much.